A trailblazer in every sense of the word, my next guest is the author of Creating Your Limitless Life, a bestseller that acts as a call to action for people everywhere to defy social barriers and live a life of alignment and joy. For more, I am joined by Esther Zeladon, author and high achiever coach at Be Act Change. Esther, can you tell us a little bit about your journey from immigrant to trailblazer to star? Thanks for joining me.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I'm someone who's always been a high achiever. I grew up, immigrated to the United States, didn't grow up with much money, paycheck to paycheck. And so I knew I had it to go and chase all the accolades. And I was taught that that's the way to do it. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So I got all the degrees, climbed the ladder, raised $100 million for the organization I worked with. But like many people, I began to feel misaligned. Like the work that I was doing wasn't really resonating with my personal values. And so I heard this little voice inside my head telling me, you know what, Esther, you're meant for more. So my journey was really about creating that alignment of my actions to my purpose and building the resilience tool so I could keep it going, making it happen. And most importantly, I've been helping thousands of others do the same.
Which is so important, especially if you can send the elevator back down. It sounds like we're turning the word should into must and getting things done. How do you believe the American dream should be shifted from that white picket fence and things that we that imagery we used to think about?
Yes, absolutely. The thing is that the American dream is very limiting. It's based on fixed timelines, fixed dates, being married by 30, having a house by 35, and then afterwards people reach their midlife. Either they haven't gotten those metrics or they don't want them to begin with. And we instead need to focus away from the American dream and more about our own how-to that we bring to the world. Each of us have this dream. Each of us have this uniqueness we bring. Each of us can reach further, higher than the American dream that's based on our own terms, based on what we actually want. And I honestly believe that, terrorism that exists right now, violence, crime, anxiety, depression, is all rooted on that. It's all rooted that we've forgotten our dream. We've forgotten that thing that lights our fire, that motivation that we have inside. And if we could just go back to that, remember what, our inner child, what we really wanted, and go after that, I believe that we can all change the world together for the better.
And that takes time. That's sitting down and connecting with yourself on a level. It's a lot of time people to say this work, but it is work. You've got to sit down, make some time for that, connect with that inner child so you can actually discover, all of the things you're talking about. Talk to us a little bit about bias and how can Latinos find the courage to tell their stories like you have when it comes to creating your limitless life. I understand you wanted to talk about the Latino community as well.
Yes, that was really, really difficult. Actually, that was the hardest part about writing my book. The formula that I've tested, all around the world on discovering your purpose, that was the easy part because I had been doing it my entire life, and I knew I could share that how-to, and I wanted to share that with the world. But my story, that's actually what took the longest because I grew up with this thing about you have to keep that inside. You keep that private. You keep that in the household. Your struggles about money, your struggles with depression, your struggles, everything you face when you're climbing that ladder. So sharing that with the world, I was so scared because a high achiever, you're taught you have to display perfectionism. You have to display a certain image. And so being vulnerable, putting that out there was the hardest part. But the thing is that as a kid, libraries were the places where I read about trailblazers, where I read about inspiring stories. So without those stories, right, I probably wouldn't be here today. And so if I would have left that out, then I'd be doing a disservice, right? I wouldn't be authentic. So my message to Latino community is we need to start being authentic. We need to change that conversation that we have on Thanksgiving and Christmas about, hey, did you get the promotion? Hey, are you getting married? Change that to more about, hey, what do you want to be sought out for? What are your highest aspirations? How can I help you, right? And we start changing those conversations, we can start being more vulnerable. We can start being more authentic. We can start actually helping and supporting each other and making vulnerability instead of a weakness as a strength.
Very, very well said by you. Esther, just to finish for me, I want to talk a bit about inspiration. What inspired you to go about writing the book, Creating Your Limitless Life, and maybe a little bit about what that means again, just to finish for me.
Yes. So I think, as I mentioned, books were my go-to source when I had no money. Right? I had to go to the library to get all this information, read. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to make a difference, but I didn't know how. And so books were the first time that I read about purpose. But the thing that was missing, the gap, was how do you discover your purpose, right? Nothing was really giving me the how. I had to learn that right through life and its difficulties. And so in my book, I was like, I really want to show people the how. So regardless of where you are in the world, whatever corner, whatever your financial situation it is, I have this book that you can, all the questions are there, all the exercises are there that you can do in your own time. The book and the workbook, that's your guide. There's nothing left out. So that way you can do it with, I don't have to reach everybody.
Esther,
they have the information in front of them.
I can feel the energy, bleeding through the screen. It's so nice to see, and it's nice to experience. And I appreciate you joining us on the program and highlighting more about, hopefully, what will be a great year ahead if people can sit down and do this work and engage. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right, don't go anywhere. More Ticker will be coming up right after this. I hope you're feeling a little bit more energized after that discussion. I know I am. Be well.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.